Hello, YouTube land. It's your boy HTJ, aka Jody, and now, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there, TaeKwonJoe. Sorry, I'm used to the laptop setup, y'all, and the camera would usually be up here, but I'm on the tablet because, well, I think the laptop's done, basically. So I got to learn where to look. This is a little weird, and because I am on the iPad, um, StreamYard does not give the ability right now for me to share the screen. That'll come into play in a little bit. As you can see there in the title, the first thing we're going to talk about is TaeKwonJoe. I am excited to say that have created a new channel. There is no content there yet. Sorry, I looked the right place. Um, and well, I guess I can summarize it for you. Let me see. Let me go. Sorry, wasn't should have had this pulled up. Just tell you, I guess, a little bit what the channel's about and, maybe how it came about. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see here. View channel. So, in a nutshell, the channel is called Addicted MMA, right? And it's all things mixed martial arts and self-defense, talking about the best fighters in the history of combat sports, current MMA excuse me, current MMA fighters and matchups, as well as my own brand of self defense taught by me, Joe, my style, TaeKwonJoe. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. You know, um, I'm going to have an assistant help me demonstrate some techniques. Guys, I happened to run across a story on YouTube, and this is one of the reasons that the channel has been made. I'll sum it up as briefly as I can. A young lady, I believe in the New York or New Jersey area, I believe New York, 30 years old, an avid jogger, runner, very in shape, very beautiful woman. What I'm trying to get at is she had uh, kept herself in shape, and I would consider her probably, she had probably good strength for someone her size. The point is, she was attacked while jogging, and um, she was murdered. Now, the suspect was arrested and charged and convicted. He told the story in interrogation, and he described the way in which he ended her life, and that was with his hands around her throat, deleting her. So, um, I was heartbroken by the story. I'm a father, and I believe that because watching the interrogation, seeing this vile piece of trash's demeanor, his size, um, I believe that she had the physical attributes to fight off her attacker and live. Um, but she lacked the technique or knowledge in doing so, to do so. And I really don't want to be disrespectful to the young lady. Um, I really should have done some research and pulled up her name. All respect to her and her family. Um, but because she was so in shape, and I think, as I said, she had the physical attributes to defend herself. But of course, she did not have the technique. So that's one of the reasons I'm starting that channel. I believe that women and children should all know self-defense, in some form or another. And I'm not sure if this should be something that's taught in schools in public school. I just don't know. But I've always been a believer that children, especially, they should start at a young age and learn some kind of self-defense. So, but other than that, there's going to be a lot of banter and jabbing, uh, just talking trash, about modern mixed martial arts, man. Good trash and bad trash, right? So we'll move on to the next thing right here. Ian Garry, man, it's not what you think though, y'all. Listen, let me just say this. I don't care about WAG. I don't care about this dude's like maturity level, whatever, whatever. Like all that stuff outside the cage. I'm so sick to death of this just being talked about over and over and over, on and on and on in an MMA community here on YouTube. It's just sickening. I'm so over it. But I do notice that I see two huge mistakes. And let me just take a let's get off the beaten path for 1 second. The MMA YouTube community is blowing up right now. That's another reason I'm jumping up right here because I've got a lot of issues with what these guys are saying. So I'm here to set the record straight to get you guys right. Hey Nico, I love to shortcut y'all. So I'm here to help you out. TaeKwonJoe to the rescue. Now, Ian Garry, who cares about the wife drama outside the ring? Here's a big mistake I'm seeing all these YouTubers saying. Well, Ian Garry's got this problem, but he's so good. He's gonna be a champion. Blah blah blah. Y'all, I don't know what these people are watching, but they're fibbing to you. Ian Garry is not the next coming, man. As a matter of fact, he does have great physical attributes for the 170-pound weight class. I mean, the guy's 6'3". And there is a whole lot of talk about how supposedly he's on a vegan diet. Listen, I don't know if that's true or not. But if it is, it does make sense to me. And here, the reason why is because the man needs to do all he can to keep his weight down. He is 26 years old. He's training twice a day. In say 5 years, the amount of lean muscle mass that he will put on his frame, he's just going to gain weight. Over the years, he will fill out, get bigger, stronger. This is a natural progression. We're not even talking about PEDs. We're just talking about what fighters go through physically over, the course of a career. So Ian Garry, I think, is a bully. I really think he's a bully. He showed that with his little T-shirt. He showed that in the Neil Magny fight, which, by the way, I'm not impressed, y'all. So again, all these YouTubers out here, I really don't want to name names, but come on, y'all. It's all of them. They're all out here just, Ian Garry's so good. Ian Garry, he's just, oh well, he's a real doucher, but he's God is good. He's gonna be a champion. Y'all, he's not that good. Uh I just I just don't see it. Let's take a look at the weight class, shall we? Now, again, this is where the sharing, I would have loved to have shared this information so we could have looked at this together, y'all. But again, the laptop is down and yeah, I don't think it's coming back. So let's see here. Where are we going? Welterweight. Currently, Ian Machado Garry is ranked at 10, right behind Sean Brady and right in front of Jack Della Madela. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm terrible with names. Getting ready to fight Vincent Luque. Now, look, he should probably get that win. I don't think Vincent's been right since he had a brain hemorrhage. So I'm not sure he's the same fighter, even though I believe he is coming off a win. But Ian, listen, he stands real tall. He leaves his chin up. He gets hit a lot, y'all. Ian gets hit a lot, and the guys he's beaten right now, Neil Magny, currently ranked at 13th. The other guys he hasn't fought anybody at this point with legit power. And once he gets to the top of this weight class, oh, y'all know there's a dirty rumor, right? That Shavkat Rachmanov knocked this boy out in training cold. That's just a dirty rumor floating about. So maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But my point is, once Ian gets up here to say, I don't know, even Stephen Thompson, who's ranked number 6 currently, right? Once he gets to number 6, all these guys ahead of him, with the exception of Bilal Muhammad, because he's boring and terrible, and I can't believe he's ranked at number 2, but whatever. all of these guys are going to sleep Ian Machado Gary. So for all the hype, y'all don't believe it. And will he get the win against Vincent Luque? Yeah, probably. But in my estimation, I think that's his last. I think that's the last of his winning streak anyway. Um, he's going to get knocked out. Ian's just not that good. So please don't believe all the hype behind Ian Machado Gary. Now, hopefully, we don't have to talk about that guy anymore because here's the other thing I see, y'all. The MMA community, this is going to turn into monetization. It's as simple as that. Like they are going to get more views on social media, which means more ad revenue, blah, 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 blah. Love or hate. You know what the old saying is, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So look, the best way to handle Ian Garry and his manager, wife, succubus, whatever you want to call her, is to just sweep it under the rug. Stop talking about it. Don't subscribe to their BS. You know, don't get off of their Twitter. Just don't deal with it, and they'll go away just as quickly as they popped up. Because Ian's career, unless he does something drastically to change his his game, I just the top six are just all losses for him in my estimation. And we all know everybody's staying away from my boy Shavkat Rachmanov. And I think he's the true king of that division, and we'll see that soon enough. So let's just move on past that. Now, here's the other thing, that really gets me going, y'all. It's sorry again, I'm over here. The UFC rankings, right? So everybody, I keep saying out here that are just so bullish on the UFC, and they think that the UFC is the greatest thing since sliced bread. There's no other organization that's close to them, and they house all the greatest fighters. Well, I happen to have a list of the UFC rankings right here, and we're going to go through them, and I'm going to prove to you, in my estimation, why the UFC is in trouble, why the UFC has been adopting so many foreign fighters to fill up the roster, and that each division that the UFC has is weak. Okay, you get beyond the top five in any of these divisions, and these guys, I dislike the comparison, but they're Bellator PFL fighters, if you will, which I think is ridiculous. They're one championship fighters. What I mean to say is, one championship fighters, PFL Bellator guys, they can survive in the UFC. Need you forget that the UFC, when it acquired Strikeforce, those Strikeforce fighters came into the roster and took over the UFC. All of those fighters won belts, controlled the divisions. It was crazy. That's just one example of the UFC not having a good roster. But people are all the time talking about, oh, the UFC's got the best fighters in the world. No, they don't. They don't. Yuri Prochazka is a great example. He hasn't been in the UFC that long, but he was outside the UFC. He is one of the greatest fighters in the world. They're hands down. If you don't agree, you don't have to. But that's my opinion. Even though he just lost, just got knocked out, Yuri Prochazka was winning that fight up until the very moment he got caught. So whether you saw that coming or not, whatever, I didn't. I called Yuri to win that fight. I'm getting off topic. Let's start this, okay? Because we don't want to go on all night. All right. I got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. I'm on the East Coast here, so it's already almost 10 p.m. We don't even really need to do the pound for pound stuff because that is just total BS. I mean, they have Islam Makhachev at number one and Jon Jones at number two. Leon Edwards is at four. Of course, Volkanovski's at three. Then we have Alex Pereira at five, Charles Olivier at six, Sean O'Malley seven, Strickland's at eight. Listen, who even cares? This list is so dumb. Tom Aspinall, this is crazy to me. Tom Aspinall is all the way down here at number 12 on the UFC pound for pound list. That guy is a freak. And he's going to be the UFC undisputed champion for sure. I called his win against Sergey. I said he would knock him out. He did, of course, in beautiful fashion. Um, I just think his athleticism is off the charts, and you count the fact that he's very, very good on the ground, a wizard in submissions on the ground. And this guy has learned how to use his hands over the last couple years, and it's really scary. You put all that stuff together, the athleticism, the boxing, and the groundwork. This guy's going to rule the heavyweight division in the UFC for a long time. That's what I think. But he's all the way down here at number 12, which is absolutely ridiculous. Aljamain Sterling is down here at number 11. That's ridiculous. That dude belongs way higher. As a matter of fact, I would gladly kick Edwards out of 4 and give that to Aljamain Sterling because, in my mind, on a pound for pound list, it's not about the biggest or heaviest guy. Even though I just referenced Tom Aspinall, I know, but he's a freak. He's a freak. That's why he belongs so far up. But usually in pound for pound, we think, yeah, lighter weight guys, right? That's what I think of anyway. I think Charles Oliveira, you could probably push him up this list. Alex Pereira could come down a rank or two to give Charles Oliveira to get him up there. Now, Sean O'Malley is ranked in at number 7. I don't think he belongs there. I think he belongs way down here, probably where Max Holloway is, 13, Carl Usman, 14, somewhere around there. Y'all, he just hasn't done enough, in my opinion, to be this high on the pound for pound list. But it's a BS list. We don't need to get into that. Let's just go. Well, we're going to actually skip over flyweight, okay, because we don't care. We're going to start with the bantamweight, which is Sean O'Malley's division. And actually, this division here is probably the best in the UFC. I mean, 155 used to be a murderer's row, but don't worry, we'll get there. All right, you got obviously the champ, Sean O'Malley. First, rank number 1 is Aljamain Sterling. Okay, 2, Rahab Diveshali, or I don't even know. Henry Cejudo, 3, Corey Sandhagen, 4, Peter Yan at 5. Okay, Marlon Vera at 6, and Song Yadong at 7. Y'all. That's a crazy top 5, and that's a really good. Even Rob Font at 8. I mean, you could really go down there. Although I don't really see Rob Font gaining much traction and getting any higher really than he is. Maybe he can bounce up to the 7th or 6th spot, but I don't really see Rob Font being at the top of that division. But even still, I mean, I think the 1 through 7 ranking in that division, man, that's what 155 used to be. Okay, so let's just go one weight class up now. Let's talk about. We have good things to say about the bantamweight division. So, Joe, what are you talking about, TaeKwonJoe? What do you mean the UFC roster isn't that great? Let's keep going. All right, featherweight, Alexander Volkanovski. Volk. Obviously, he's the champion, number 1 contender, Max Holloway. Right here, we have a huge problem in this division. Anyway, Max Holloway has proceeded to claim his seat atop the division, just churning out wins. The only guy he's lost to in like a decade is Alexander Volkanovski. That's bad for the division, y'all. Like, what are y'all going to do here? So that immediately tells you that the division has a problem with depth. Okay, so let's move down. Yair Rodriguez, which I think is a good fighter, but he's a tad bit overrated. Then we have Brian Ortega. Those guys probably belong right where they are, 2, 3. Then we get Arnold Allen, and I think the best fighter really in that division, in at number 5, Ilya Topuria. Okay, beyond that, you really have Josh Emmett and Calvin Kattar. Now, those guys, to me, they're never going to be top of the division. They're not really going to get further than what they are. And Yair and Brian, like I said, I believe those guys are both overrated. So that division has a problem. All right. So in my opinion, again, let's go to lightweight, y'all. Okay. Obviously, we have Islam Makhachev as the champion, number 1 contender, Charles Oliveira. Then we have Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Bernal Dariush, Michael Chandler, Matus Gamrot, Rafael Fiziev, Armin Sazarkian. I'm sorry, Dan Hooker at 9. I'm just going to stop there at 9. 155 in the UFC historically and for 20 years has been the murderer's row of the UFC. the hardest, just nastiest division. If you were champion in that division, like you were probably the greatest fighter in the world at that weight class, bar none. It just ain't there anymore, y'all. I mean, once we get past Justin Gaethje to Dustin Poirier, we have seen time and time again, Dustin Poirier just cannot close the deal in that big fight. He can't do it. So there's your first problem in that division, and he's ranked third. Then you go Beneil Dariush, who I actually think is going to win his fight this weekend, and I think he's a little bit better than people give him credit for, but he got absolutely dismantled by Charles Oliveira. I just think that was a bad night for our guy Beneil. I think he's a much better fighter than that, and I think he's like top three easy. So I think Beneil's going to win this weekend and probably just be stuck at where he is at number four. But listen, we get beyond that, and now we're at Michael Chandler, who's 2-3 in the UFC, which give him a lot of credit, a lot of respect. I really like Michael Chandler and what he's about. But let's be honest, 2-3. Oh, I'm sorry, no, he's probably 3-3 now because he had that win over Tony Ferguson, right? Which he was getting beat in that fight. So I should double check that. I should really see what his. Let's just see what his record is in the UFC real quick. Uh, doesn't really. No, I'm gonna have to go through too much. We have too much to go through. This is already probably taking too long. My point is, man, the lightweight division after number four is just not solid. And even the third, I hate to say it, I love Dustin Poirier. I picked him over Conor McGregor in their first fight at 145 over a decade ago. That's how high I was on Dustin, and I love his style. But I just don't know that, you know, I don't know. I think he's stagnant, and he's just looking for this big money fight. Anyway, let's move on, y'all. The next weight class, Leon Edwards. All right. I could make he's the champion. Let's move to number one, Karo Usman. I could make an entire video about how Karo Usman's welterweight championship run was number one, a fraud. It never should have happened. And number two, his title defenses were weak. They just weren't. They were not impressive at all. So any of this greatest goat, whatever talk for that division, you could just get out of here with that. He is nowhere near the level of even a GSP or even, dare I say, y'all gonna go ahead, get me for this. A Tyron Woodley. Look at the guys Tyron Woodley beat on it in his title offenses on it and on his run. That was an impressive run. That was crazy. And the way he did it. I mean, aside from the who's the black belt, the most boring fight ever. The black belt. Oh gosh, at 170. Oh man, that was a boring fight. Anyway, okay, so number two in the division, we got Belal Muhammad. If Belal Muhammad is your number two ranked fighter in any division, you got problems. You got problems, man. What do you mean? What do you mean, Belal Muhammad? I mean, that's crazy, y'all. Belal Muhammad's ranked number two? That guy's terrible. That guy's really bad, dude. Oh, man. Okay, so we got Colby Covington, who is actually, he's the king of that division. He is the king. And I'm pretty sure he's going to beat Leon Edwards. As a matter of fact, I'm really sure he's going to beat, but I just lied to you. Colby Covington has been the king of that division for a long time. And he really, in my opinion, again, I could make a whole video about his two fights with Colby and prove to you why they were fraudulent victories. It's pretty easy. I mean, you can put it together if you just go watch the fight. We're talking like head strikes to the back of the head, early stoppages, and then we're talking about the robbery at MSG, right? That fight came to decision. Anyway, so 170, we're at Colby. Then we got, okay, Gilbert Burns. All right. Gilbert Burns is an all right fighter, but now we have the real monster, the real king of the division, unyet crowned, Shavkat Rakhmonov. He is, in my estimation, one of the top 2-3 fighters on the UFC's roster. This man is incredible. He will beat whoever they put in front of him. I think he will win the welterweight strap in 2 fights. Okay, he'll have to do one more, then get the title shot. He'll win, and we'll see how long he decides to stick around the division. I think he's big enough to where that he can go to division champ. He can challenge at 185, and he's going to be a problem for the guys at 185 as well. He will be. I won't think he'll be undersized at 185. I think he'll be just average for the division, but I believe his technique is superior to most. So you're looking at a future probably two division champ, I believe. Uh, and then of course we have Stephen Thompson. But after that, we drop off pretty hard. And I'll be honest, y'all, I really like Stephen Thompson, but he's the hard drop off here. Stephen Thompson's the hard drop off in the division, and it is a hard drop off. And then you have, like I said, Bilal Muhammad at number 2. Yes, love. Honey, I'm live, by the way. You need what? You need what? Oh, charger? Sorry. Thank you, love. Love you too. Good night. Okay, so we're at the might be my lovely assistant. Just saying, a little foreshadowing. Bilal Muhammad's number 2 in your division. Big problem, and you have a hard drop off after number 5. So again, listen, y'all. That's 1, 2, 3 out of 4 divisions we've talked about are pretty trash outside the top 5 or 4. They're trash. So for all this, and listen, you want me to keep going? We've already been. We can keep going a little bit. We got a little time here. All right, so let's move on. Sean Strickland is obviously the champion at 185. Let's take a closer look at this division. Number 1 is Israel Adesanya. He's the number 1 contender. Well, we don't really know what's going to happen with Izzy, do we? Right now, he said he's going to take time off. Then there was a dirty rumor saying he's going to come back. I don't believe that. And then I even heard that he was going to come back and challenge Bajeda at 205. I don't believe that either. I'm not sure I know what that man. Of course, I'm not in his head, but I don't know what he's going to do. So he could do anything, but that's an issue that the division's going to have to work out sooner or later. Then at number 2, you have DDP Dricus Du Plessis. Listen, I think this guy's the uncrowned again king of that division. And once he grabs a hold of that strap, you're not going to see that thing go anywhere for a while. So we're looking at a long title run. DDP is legit. I called him against Whitaker. He did about exactly what I said was going to happen. Went down. I just didn't expect it to be so one-sided. I mean, it was a mauling. However, I was very confident the man was going to do what he did. And I think that's obviously somewhere here on the channel in a short form, probably video. So you can double check that. But then we got, let's see here, Robert Whitaker, which forever was the king of that division. Really, again, another guy that only got beat by one man in that division for years. So obviously a world-class fighter and a world-class athlete, a world-class guy. Straight, really, really stand-up guy. Love Robert Whitaker. But then when you get to number 4, and it's dude, it's a hard drop off, really hard drop off in the middleweight division. Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vittori, Paulo Costa, uh, Roman something or another, Brendan Allen. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. And Hazmat's ranked all the way at 9. Dude, he's not. We may need to do something on Hazmat too because that guy's not as good as people think. I'm sorry, I don't see it. Let me know if you want to see a video on that, in the comments section somewhere. Let's see, let's see. We can just move it. That division is actually the 185 division is really trash, y'all. It's really bad. I do love Sean Strickland though. I just think DDP is just Sean Strickland's going to hang around the top 1 or 2 ranking for a long time. There's going to be not many people are going to be able to beat Sean Strickland, y'all. But DDP is one of them. So get ready to enjoy that life, Sean Strickland. Love you, brother. Um, Light heavyweight. We got Alex Pereira, obviously, as the champion, and you have Jamal Hill. Now, Alex Pereira's biggest problem in this division, it's going to be Jamal Hill. I've been calling that dude's fights for a long time. I've been saying he was going to be a champion, and he was. Freak little Achilles tear there happened. A no contact injury. Um, so anyway, he is ranked number one. I do believe he takes that belt from Pereira very shortly as soon as he comes back. Then you have number two, who is Yuri Prohaska, and I think that's Jamal Hill's biggest problem. Yuri Prohaska is going to be a big problem for the 205 division. He's going to be probably like a Robert Whitaker or Sean Strickland. He's going to rule that division for a long time, and I just don't know that he gets the belt. I think he's probably more talented than Jamal Hill, but Jamal Hill's a tall order, y'all. That guy's a beast. I've been talking about him for a long time, but let's just stick to the division here. Then we get number four. We got Jan Blachowicz, and then we got Alexander Rakic, Nikita Krylov. Listen, it's a hard drop off after Yuri Prohaska at spot three. It's a hard drop off, y'all. But you do have buried in that division just a little ways down, number seven. You have Johnny Walker, who I think that guy's a stud, and I really think he's going to reach the top of that division in no time. And then Anthony's. I don't need to go any further, y'all. Y'all, you get past the top two guys in 205, the champ and the first two ranked guys, and it's just a trash division. Let's go to the heavyweight division. Champion is obviously John Jones. Then we have Tom Aspinall as number one, who soon enough he'll be the true number one. Now here's your first big problem with the heavyweight division. Cyril Gone is ranked number two. Hmm. The guy's not a good fighter. Sure, I understand. He's good to look at. Like the guy moves really well for a big, strong, muscular man. He's athletic, and it's very impressive to see. But he got ragdolled, y'all. And John Jones is not good at heavyweight. Like this guy looks terrible at heavyweight. I'm just sorry. It's, Tom Aspinall's going to rip his head off, y'all. He ain't going to fight Tom Aspinall. He's going to do everything he can to avoid that fight. And I believe that if they had fought on schedule in December, him and Stipe, I was leaning Stipe to win that fight. I just don't think Homeboy's going to get it done in heavyweight, man. It's going to be really hard for him. There's so many competitors. Let's just list them. Tom Aspinall can beat John Jones at heavyweight. So can Sergey Pavlovich. He will murder him. He'll take his head off. Number four is Stipe. I think Stipe was fixing to win that fight, but I don't think Stipe in 9 months wins that fight. So it's just really bad for him. Really like Stipe. Love what he's about. Then you got Curtis Blades, who um, Curtis Blades is a big problem for John Jones. Like I believe that. So then you got Alexander Volkov, which I think that's where the drop off is in the division. So okay, out of the top five, you have four guys that are just really good at heavyweight, man. Those guys are really good. Cyril Gone, you can throw him out. But that that's three guys. And Stipe's getting ready to age out, y'all. So we're really talking about three guys, excuse me, in the heavyweight division: Curtis Blades, Tom Aspinall, and Sergey Pavlovich. You know that are going to be here for a while. And I'm sorry, if I could speak, I would tell you that Jolton Almeida is not going to be as advertised, man. He's another really overhyped guy. Um, so yeah, that the heavyweight division is in shambles, as it usually is in the UFC. The heavyweight division is far um, over its best days, and its best days weren't that long ago. It was when Cain Velasquez and Brock. Even though I don't think Brock is a high level fighter, he's a high level athlete, and that's why he was able to win fights. Not a good fighter though. I know that sounds silly. Take it out on me in the comment section. Let's talk about it. But yeah, typically the heavyweight division. I mean, you had Roy Nelson, JDS, Stipe. That division was crazy at one point. Frank Mir, younger Frank Mir. Oh man, oh man, Nogueira. Yeah, that was some of the best years at UFC heavyweight. But we're long past that. And for a long time before that, UFC heavyweight was terrible. And we all know where the best heavyweight was between the years of 2000 and 2010 anyway. And he was in Pride Fight. All hail to the great Fedor, the last emperor. So whoever the UFC champion was for a decade plus, it didn't matter because Fedor was that good. So those are all the classes, man. But we've gone through all this, and I hope I've been able to demonstrate or show at least my perspective and my opinion on why that the UFC, as far as talent level, is not that deep. Okay, so that's something I always talk about with my buddy PC. The rest of the world is a big place, all right, and like Asia is a very large continent. So you know, some of the best fighters in the world are clearly going to be there. You do have other organizations like PFL, like One Championships, like Bellator, um, and to think that those guys inside those organizations, I know we just talked about Michael Chandler not having a great record a little while ago, but look at Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje came into the UFC and competed immediately with the best guys in the world. So there are guys, and I can give you countless other examples of guys coming in from. Earlier, I talked about Strikeforce. They infiltrated the UFC and they took over the UFC roster. When UFC purchased Strikeforce, Zuffa purchased Strikeforce is the best thing they could do. They were Zuffa at the time, best thing they could have done. I mean, dude, the sorry, it's shaking. Nico's moving around. The best thing they could have done. Do you realize how many fighters came off that Strike Force roster, y'all? I mean, it'll blow your mind if you just go back and look. That's crazy. I mean, anyway, it's been a good talk, y'all. It's been real good. And I know that you guys are home theater people, and I greatly appreciate that. And I love my home theater people. I love this community. But due to the laptop and I can't even record yet or stream live on the new channel, Addicted MMA, because it doesn't have 50 subscribers. So, if somebody happens to see this and they want to try to support the new channel, that would be great. Like I said, we're going to talk self-defense, mixed martial arts, past and present, and we're even going to do a little bit of teaching over there. Uh, I told the story or earlier about the unfortunate woman. She was a victim of a heinous crime, taken from this earth way too early, and it really touched my heart. I'm a father, and so I'm I want people to just you don't have to learn from me, y'all. I mean, there's a million places you can learn from, but learn how to defend yourself, man. Um, you know. So yeah, I think it's going to be real fun. It's going to help me um, as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Addicted MMA, that channel. And I'm really looking forward to talking more about home theater stuff, of course, um, because we have a lot of bugs, a lot of kinks to work out in the home theater area right now. So yeah, we'll of course get on that and be critical of the community like we have been lately. Just is what it is. And of course, critical of all the crap 2023 displays. Uh, yeah. So anyway, thank y'all so much for tuning in and watching. Um, if you get a chance, excuse me, if you get a chance to watch, I really appreciate it. Hey, if you guys, if you have any comments, good, bad, or different, you can always leave them in that comment section there. Yeah. So if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Be good. Be safe. Boom. And this is where I go. Sorry. Just hit this. All right. Peace out.